Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how to make these fajita nachos, so stay tuned. First off, you'll want to marinate your meat one day in advance to give it a time for the marinade to do its thing. And use the following ingredients for both chicken and beef. 1/3 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 large garlic cloves, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, along with a half teaspoon of chili powder, half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, half teaspoon of liquid smoke, and a half teaspoon of onion powder, and a fourth a cup of fresh lime juice. So, a little history about this recipe. I learned how to make these fajita nachos back in 1998 while I was working at Chili's, and I've made them ever since. So you'll notice that I've prepped my onions. I used 3 sweet onions and 4 bell peppers. I've also preheated my frying pan and will now add my onion mixture to the hot pan like so. I'm using chosen food avocado oil as it has a higher burn point and doesn't smoke until 520 degrees. As you can see, it's a lot of onions and pepper mix, but it'll cook down quite a bit. So I'm going to get more going in this pan because I have quite a bit to cook during this prep. I ended up having 2 big bowls of the sauteed onions to saute. So again, after a few minutes, the onions are caramelized great and are about ready to pull off the heat. This is what we're looking for right here. Looks really nice. And it smells good. For the shells, we're using Olay corn tortillas, but you can use any brand, and they can be found in your tortilla section at your local grocery store. So in a blender, mix 1 can of black beans with a quarter cup of any salsa until it becomes a paste. So now with all the onions all cooked and pulled off the oven, off the stove, I will show you, which I'll show you in a minute. I will start cooking my proteins. For the chicken, you'll want to pull it once it reaches about 165 degrees. And for the beef, I will be cooking it to about 125 degrees for medium rare. And then I'll let it sit and rest while I'm completing the rest of my prep. Another trick is you want to, for your beef at least, you want to pull it out 2 hours before you are going to cook it, so it comes up to room temperature and it cooks a little bit more evenly and a lot better. You could use whatever meat you prefer. I typically use sirloin. And again, I'm cooking it in avocado oil. I think I use avocado oil for everything. I like using avocado oil. It doesn't give it a taste either. As for the onions, as you see, they cook down from 2 bowls to one and look great. Look at these. This is what you want them to look like. It's perfect. So I pulled my first meats and started cooking the last pieces. Here's what the first batch of meat turned out right here. Just have to wait a few more minutes and then I can start preparing the nachos. We're getting closer. Quite a bit of prep, but worth it. And now we have everything prepped and ready to go. Our shells are on pans. We have jalapenos set up, which I like to put in a bowl to make it easier to grab. Got our sauteed onions and bell pepper mix, our black bean paste, and of course our meat. So for now, I'm gonna cut all the meat. So all I have to do is put it on the nachos. Don't cut yourself. Be safe. I just had to cut the beef. and then we'll get started on putting these together. Okay, so I'm going to add the black bean paste to each shell. It doesn't have to be too much, just a nice spread. These shells aren't as flat as the others, so it doesn't spread as easy, but it'll work. Now you'll want to put a small handful of sauteed onions on each shell. And then we follow up by adding the meat. I tend to do more beef for adults and more chicken for the kids. But you can also do it for preference too, if somebody just wants chicken. Same thing with jalapenos. You don't have to put jalapenos on every single one, but I can tell you the jalapenos make it really good, and it doesn't make it that much hotter. So I think it's worth it. And I'm not a big spicy fan. Yeah, see, I add a little more sauteed onions. That one didn't have nearly enough, so just add a little bit more. All right, now so I'm going to start using Mexican style blended cheese, which we get at Costco. I like it because it's thinner and it goes on and it melts a little bit better than the bigger sliced cheese. It covers really good. So I spread a nice amount. And I try to do as evenly as possible to try to cover it all. And then we'll top it off with some jalapenos. You want to do four on each shell. So when we cut them, we'll cut each shell into fours, and then uh, each adult or guest will have uh, 12 chips in total, so three shells, unless they want like a half order or something. So now that's ready to go in the oven, except for I need to add a few more jalapenos to that middle one, it looks like. I forgot it. I do add a little bit of extra cheese on top like this too, so it holds the jalapenos in place. So you don't have to do that. It's just something I do. And now that's ready for the oven. And with time lapse, here we go. Here's the finished product. And here you can see that the cheese is melted very nicely, just like what we want it to be. So I'll take them right off the pan and start cutting them into fours right here. And then my son plated the plate with sour cream and guacamole. And then we want to do a circular layout all the way around it. It looks really nice. The presentation is really nice. It doesn't look like a lot of food, but that will fill up an adult really easily. It's funny because it's only 12 chips, but the toppings on it it's filling. So if you try this recipe, please leave a comment and let me know what you think about it. Yeah, and share this with your friends and like it. And thank you for watching this video, guys.